This is TNT Sports, home of NASCAR's race to the championship.
Dover Downs in Delaware has become a forest of American sea of red, white, and blue, a tribute to heroes. Delaware is a tiny state that has found itself surrounded by the terrible tragedies in Arlington, Virginia to the south, New York City to the north, and neighboring Pennsylvania. Today, another small trip on the road to recovery, a chance to root for the stars and cars, and to salute the stars and stripes.
Race fans, it gives me great pleasure to present to you Miss Candace Myers of Frederick, Maryland, for the singing of God Bless America.
Please feel free to join along. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans wide with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Hi everyone, I'm Bill Weber. On behalf of all of us at TNT and our broadcast partner NBC, it is my pleasure to welcome you to Dover and to welcome back NASCAR racing. Today, it's the MBNA.com 200 for the NASCAR Busch Series. Of course, this series was off last weekend, so it's scheduled unaffected by the horrific events of September 11th. But you should know that the feeling that swept through this track yesterday was that we should be back. The drivers, the crews, NASCAR officials, support personnel, the men and women that work the souvenir rigs, regular people returning to their regular jobs. And the people in the garage and the fans and the grandstands also want you to know that as we get ready to resume the races, we will never forget the faces of the neighbors we have lost and the new heroes we have found. Today, we begin our regular jobs, bringing you the excitement of NASCAR racing and the stories surrounding the teams and the times. Let's begin with Dave Burns.
And one of those stories hits very close to home for a member of the Channel Lock crew, number 11, driver Ron Hornaday. His gas man, Al Larson, has a brother who is a New York City firefighter from Rescue 4 in Queens, New York. He was finishing an 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. shift at the firehouse when the call came in that there was tragedy at the World Trade Center, and he responded to the scene. Al has not heard from his brother since, but Al has spent the last 10 days in New York City attempting to put the pieces together and still hoping to find his brother. They've not done so at this point, and Al asked the team, could I just come to the races because I need a weekend to get away. I need a weekend to find some sort of normalcy back in my life. But he keeps his brother Peter close to his thoughts and close to his heart. Let's go to Liz Allison.
Dave, there is a lot of American spirit here this weekend, and all eyes are on our military. And one of our very own Busch Series guys here, Matt McSwain, who's with the Ryan Newman team, is actually an inactive reserve Marine. And Matt, the key word here is inactive, but you could get called to duty.
Yes, ma'am. Odds are I'd probably volunteer before I even got the call. So, you know, I'm pumped up, ready to go, whatever they need.
His team is very proud of him, and they are ready to go back racing. And, oh, yeah, by the way, they're on the pole today. Marty.
Well, Liz, a lot of talk about the NASCAR Winston Cup Series and the job that they have done in helping the relief effort and giving money. But in the NASCAR Busch Series, it is the same exact case. In fact, sponsors in the Busch Series have already given over $4 million to the relief effort. And today, a possible another $500,000 can go to the relief effort through various programs here. One of the sponsors is Randy LaJoy's sponsor. They have given $1 million to the relief effort. And Randy, 11 days after the tragedy, are you guys ready to go back to work?
Yeah, we are. I mean, Kimberly Clark has donated $1 million to the relief effort, as a lot of companies have in the United States. And it just goes to show the spirit of America. And, you know, the sporting events are secondary, but, you know, it's just time to get back. And we're gonna prove to the world that, you know, ain't nobody can mess with us.
Before the race, they have done their job and their part in helping the relief effort. Now they're ready to go back to work. To Matt Yoakum.
Jimmy Spencer is the only driver to sweep both races at a single racetrack this week. He's also going for the sweep here at Dover. But he's racing with a heavy heart, but with a lot of pride. Like a lot of other teams here, his sponsor has donated $100,000 to the American Red Cross, and they're donating free shipping for the American Red Cross to help out in this time of need. And Jimmy, I know you're racing with a heavy heart, but in a sport that requires so much concentration, how do you focus today?
That's neat right there, USA. That's the way it is, you know. Well, when we get in this race car, we got to forget about what happened last Tuesday for an hour or two. And we're not going to ever forget. We're never going to change the way we think about what happened. The terrorist attack, cowards is what they were. And, you know, I just really support the president and Colin Powell and Dick Cheney and just all our generals, all the military, just especially the firefighters and the police. The volunteers, we can talk a whole show about it. So we're going to focus on trying to do well here today for Dover and in Dover's race with the yellow car. I'm so proud of the yellow people donating that money and free freight. It just goes to show you how this country, the one thing that we have has become a lot stronger nation because of this.
Strong sentiments that everyone agrees with. Bill?
Thank you, Matt. The strength of NASCAR racing comes from the support of its fans, a long and loyal line of hardcore fans that have been around for years, and the enthusiasm of new fans eager to watch, learn, and cheer. Today, they began returning to the racetrack and to the sport that they love.
Everybody has to go back to work at some point. I don't see these drivers or any athlete differently. They're all humans. They all hurt. They all have the same type of feelings.
I wanted to come today more than, you know, usual just because of these events, and I didn't want whoever did this to know that, you know, they're interrupting our lifestyle. So more than ever, I wanted to come this weekend.
You know, we're pretty dedicated racing fans, and we love to be here. We love Dover Downs, and so, you know, you can't stop living your life, unfortunately.
NASCAR races from sea to shining sea. Today, the first laps on a tough racetrack and a more complex race on a symbolic track of strength and spirit, of healing and of hope.
NASCAR Busch Series racing from Dover on TNT is brought to you by General Nutrition Centers. Visit one of GNC's 4,500 stores nationwide to help you live your best life. GNC, live well. And by Napa Auto Parts. We keep America running.
Welcome back to Dover as we get set for the NASCAR Busch Series MBNA.com 200. The fans continue to file in, although many have been in their seats for hours. Around the country, the outpouring of renewed patriotism has been stirring. We have certainly shared that spirit this week here in Dover, especially with Dover Air Force Base right next door. That spirit now continues as we rejoin the pre-race festivities.
Race fans, I present to you Public Relations Representative for Pontiac, Mr. Al Larson, for the playing of America the Beautiful. We thank you, Al. That was just beautiful. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, please remain standing as I present to you a gentleman that's been at ground zero this week in New York, the Reverend Dan Schaefer from the Calvary Assembly of God in Hightstown, New Jersey.
Thank you, Charlie. The enemy has pierced our hearts, but can't crush our spirit. In John chapter 11, it says Lazarus was dead. And in the 39th verse, they said, take away the stone. And in verse 43, Jesus Christ said, Lazarus, come forth. And at this very moment, they are removing the stones in New York City, and America is going to come forth. God bless America. In honor of those who died, could we just take a moment of silence and remember their families at this time? Almighty God, as we said, our hearts are pierced, but our spirit is not crushed. And we thank you for Dover Down Speedway and all the race fans and all the teams that have come here, that we can say we love America, we love racing, and now we're getting down to business. We pray for the safety of this race, that you would be with all those who are part, and we'd be careful to thank you and praise you and give you all the glory. In Christ our Lord we pray. Amen. Shalom.
Please remain standing as I present to you again Miss Candace Myers for the singing of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you sing by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
I didn't know I had to do that.
This morning, dawn's early light revealed a blanket of dreary fog, but the sun broke through at 9:48. And now an American tradition returns. TNT Sports is proud to present the MBNA.com 200 for the NASCAR Busch Series. Welcome back to Dover. So here's what we've got. 200 laps, 200 miles, a grandstand full of smiles, and 43 teams that are ready to get back to work. They are ready to race. Here are three men ready to take you along for the ride. Alan Bestwick, Betty Parsons, and Wally Dallenbach.
Bill, thank you. First question for Benny and Wally. Are these drivers ready to concentrate on racing here in Dover?
Well, Alan and folks, that's one advantage to doing something as dangerous as driving a race car. You have to be ready. When you take the car down in the corner at 160, 70 miles per hour and turn it left and hope that it turns and does not hit the wall, you really have to be focused every instant, because that one instant you aren't focused, that's when you have the problem.
The last time the NASCAR Busch Series raced was 2 weeks ago in Richmond, and the event had some controversy in it. Early in the race, Greg Biffle and Jay Sauter competing for a top 5 spot. Biffle into the back of Sauter's car, sending him to the outside wall. Sauter spends 87 laps in the garage area getting repairs, comes back out on track, and goes into Biffle, taking them both into the outside wall and out of the race. It sends Biffle into an absolute rage. He hops out of his car and expresses his displeasure with Sauter. In the aftermath of that, NASCAR fined Sauter $10,000 for rough driving and took away 100 championship points. Biffle fined $15,000 and lost 100 points for conduct detrimental to the sport. And Sauter's crew chief, Gene Neat, also fined $5,000 for not being responsible for the actions of his driver and car. Question is, those punishments in the aftermath of Richmond, Wally, were they strong enough? Was it a good enough message to the other competitors?
Well, I think NASCAR got their attention. I don't think the fines mean a whole lot, but definitely taking those points away, that hurts. And I think also this is a racetrack where you won't see too much payback. BP, you're going too fast here, and when you wreck here, it hurts.
And Wally, I talked to those 3 guys, and trust me when I tell you, folks, all 3 of those guys got the message. We will not see those 2 involved in crashes involving each other in a long, long time.
The rough driving had been building from Bristol through Darlington into Richmond, but we expect we've seen the last of it here in Dover. Let's talk a little bit about this racetrack. It's nicknamed the Monster Mile, and it's very appropriate. It's tough.
And the monster part comes from the folks, this racetrack eats race cars. The racetrack is so narrow. Down the straightaway, you're going through a tunnel. Inside wall, outside wall, they're right up against the racetrack. If something happens, you're going to hit a wall.
This racetrack in the NASCAR Busch Series, the race usually a little tough at the beginning of the event because the groove is very narrow. We may see some roughness at the start. All we need now to get these 43 drivers underway is the command to start engines.
Miss Sarah Algino for the most famous words in all of racing.
Gentlemen, start your engine!
Crank it up.
As the field gets set to roll off for the MBNA.com 200 at Dover, let's take a look at our Castrol Syntex starting grid. On the pole, Ryan Newman, his 5th pole in 13 races this season, his 11th top 5 in qualifying. Jeff Green is on the outside of the front row. It's Mike Skinner who finished 4th back here in June, starting in row 2 along with Kevin Harvick, the championship leader. David Green with his best qualifying of 2001 in row 3 alongside Jimmy Spencer, who won the June race in Dover. He also won at Richmond last race out. Elton Sawyer and Greg Biffle in row number 4. Sawyer finished 6th in June. It's Jason Keller, 2nd place in this race last year in row 5 with Bobby Hamilton Jr. Mike McLaughlin and Jimmy Johnson are in row 6. McLaughlin got the first of his 6 career wins here in 1995.
On the inside of row 7 is Kevin LePage. On the outside, Hank Parker Jr. Let's try talking to Hank Jr. Hey, Hank, Benny Parsons, you got me?
Yeah, man, got you 10-4 loud and clear.
Hey, that car was pretty good in happy hour, wasn't it?
We had a real good happy hour. I was real pleased with the car. We didn't ever put on any good tires. We just practiced on the old tires so that we could have a good car in the long run today.
Could we see that number 2 NASCAR Busch Series victory today?
It'd be awesome to get this GMC Chevrolet up there, but we're going to do the best we can, see what we got.
Well, good luck to you. We'll be watching you.
10-4, they don't call it the Monster Mile for nothing.
Hank Parker Jr. in the GNC car starting on the outside of row number 7. Continuing our look through the starting lineup, getting back now to some of the drivers who got in on provisional starting spots. Row 19 on down. Dion Ciccarelli in his Busch Series debut. Curtis Davis, Ken Alexander. Davis making just his 2nd Busch Series start. Jason Rudd, it's Ricky's nephew in the field. The final driver, Bill Hoff, who is in a backup car. He crashed in final practice yesterday. Pace and parade laps to start in a moment, then the green flag in the MBNA.com 200 at Dover on TNT. At Dover Downs International Speedway, NASCAR on TNT, bringing you the MBNA.com 200 for the NASCAR Busch Series. A couple of pace laps away from the green flag, so let's get some reports on pit road before we start. Here's Matt Yoakum.
Alan, one driver to keep your eye on today is Elton Sawyer. He hasn't won since May of 1999, but he is due and in a big way, starting with this event back in June here at Dover. He's gone on a tear of 11 top 10 finishes in his last 12 races. He's never won here, but he is due in a big way. He was the fastest car in happy hour. Keep an eye on Sawyer. Marty Snyder?
Well, Matt, we've talked about how it was a difficult week for a lot of people. It was a difficult week for Kevin Harvick's team. Of course, nothing like the people who were directly affected by the tragedy. But Kevin plane was landing in Memphis for a test when the World Trade Center bombings happened. When the planes hit the Trade Center, his plane was landing. Well, they had to drive all the way back to Welcome, North Carolina, 13 guys in a van for 12 hours. And then Harvick, who was supposed to be on vacation, was sent all the way back to Florida to meet up with his wife, Delana. 8 hours it took him to get there. I'm tired of thinking about that entire trip, but a very difficult week for Kevin Harvick. The best thing they got out of that is they bonded a little bit together on the way to Welcome, North Carolina. To Dave Burns.
Marty, if you've ever driven behind a passenger car and see the bumper sticker Semper Fi, it stands for Semper Fidelis, which means always faithful, the Marine Corps slogan. Now, the Marine Corps representatives here who sponsor Randy Tolsma's number 25 tell me that in addition to the increased interest from people who have never been in the Marine Corps just calling up and saying, hey, what do I do to get involved now? They've had a whole lot of calls from their faithful, the former Marines, who have said, anytime you need me, I'm ready to go. Liz?
There will be a lot of cars today with stars on them and stripes and flags as well. But Ashton Lewis's car, the 46 car, is decked out from front to back in the Spirit of America car. These guys are unfunded. They're unsponsored. They put all their funds together. They worked all day on Tuesday to get their car ready for this weekend, and they are ready to show some American spirit today. Alan?
All right, Liz, thanks. Half a lap from the green. If you notice, the racing surface here at Dover, if you've never seen an event from this track before, is white. It's made of concrete instead of pavement. The first laps of this race, the guys in that outside lane are going to be treading very lightly.
Absolutely. You want to get to the bottom as quick as possible. You're going to be screaming at your spotter, get me low, because that bottom groove is going to be the fastest groove. It's the one that has grip right now.
Because it's where all the cars have run in practice when they've been single file. That's where all the rubber's in. See the dark black line? And it's lighter up the top of the racetrack. You don't want to be out in that light stuff on this concrete surface here at the Monster Mile.
But that won't last long. About halfway of this race, there'll be 2 grooves at this racetrack, and it becomes a terrific race.
Great crowd on hand, all on their feet, ready to see some good old American stock car racing. NASCAR underway at Dover.
Jeff Green, the yellow 10 car, got him a hole. He was able to get to the bottom of the racetrack.
Ryan Newman leads. Mike Skinner is taken second. It's Jeff Green third, Kevin Harvick fourth, and Jimmy Spencer fifth. Here comes Spencer, looking on Harvick for fourth.
This is one of those racetracks where you really need to give a guy a lot of room. You're so much on the edge here, just a little bit of a touch, and it's hard to save the race car, especially if the guy touches you. You're up on the outside lane. BP, there's just no grip there, so you need the whole racetrack to save yourself.
Oh, Kevin Harvick in that 10 car almost brushes the wall off turn 2. And look how much space he lost when he had to jump out of the throttle as he exited turn 2.
Challenge for the lead. Mike Skinner in the 21, looking on Ryan Newman.
And here goes Skinner once again, but he's not there. Is he there? No.
And if you're Newman, the guy that's being challenged for a position at this racetrack, Wally, that's a really precarious spot to be in.
Yeah, it really is. And if Mike's going to be that determined to try to get by it, right now they got enough gap on third place. He can crack the throttle, let Mike go. If Mike's faster, just drop back in the line. But I'll guarantee you, Michael is going to be relentless. He wants that point.
And finally, he's there. Here's Skinner on the bottom of the racetrack for the lead.
First lead change of the day. Skinner to the point. Lap number 5. Now Spencer creeping in on the back of Newman. tell you, Spencer and this team have been tough this year. Since he got into this car about a third of the way into the season, they have been strong.
They've got a ton of confidence. I mean, every time they run up front. They won a few races this year. Those guys are on a high. They feel great, and that helps, especially when you come to a place like Dover. It's a tough racetrack.
Spencer won here in the season's first race at Dover back in early June.
Oh, he's right on that back bumper of Ryan Newman. Newman hacks the back off the gas, and Spencer goes to second spot.
This is a real easy place to get a guy loose, especially getting up off of 4. If you put that nose right under his rear bumper, you're going to lift a little bit of that air off that rear car, and you come off that corner and you get a little bit sideways, you check up, and you're there.
Marty?
Well, we talked about earlier how Ryan Newman, normally we talk about how he's fast at the beginning of the run especially. They don't expect to be very fast today at the beginning of the run. They say the car is much more consistent today, very good on the longer runs. Right now, very loose for Ryan Newman, but this is kind of what they expected at the beginning of the run. They again think they will be better the longer they go.
This is third place. Newman is being challenged by Jeff Green. That was Mike Harmon's car that was on the apron of the racetrack. You saw these guys flash by. He's turning into the Busch Series garage.
And Jeff Green, the 10 car, puts the pole sitter Ryan Newman back to 4th. And you talked about the Marty Snyder talked about the 0-2 car being a little bit loose. In other words, the back end of the car trying to come around like he's on ice. But as they run, as they use fuel in these cars, and the back end gets lighter, that problem will get better.
Here comes Newman trying to get back on green. We look back, Kevin LePage is on the move, 71 car.
And we see Newman back on the 10 car, trying to take that spot back from Jeff Green.
Traffic starting to stack up behind him.
Oh, look at that 0-2 car. Start wiggling the back end. Once again, trying to get a little bit loose. Let me show you exactly what we're talking about when we talk about being loose. Let's go inside our Williams virtual garage and show you. Car goes down the corner. Here is the preferred line on the bottom of the racetrack. And watch the back end. All of a sudden, that's a little exaggerated, but that's what we mean when we say loose.
Condition Ryan Newman is fighting now. You can see his challenge for third place on Jeff Green is ended. Now he's trying to defend 4th on Kevin Harvick. Stacked up behind them, the 34s, David Green, the 18, Mike McLaughlin in there. Got Elton Sawyer, Kevin LePage, Greg Biffle. LePage going on the outside of David Green to get a spot.
And it looks like that outside line is already at just 15 laps trying to come in.
Caution, trouble in turn 4.
Curtis Davis has spun the 77 car, and has he made contact? Maybe not. Of course, that left side's awful droopy, isn't it?
Yeah, he's clean.
Good.
Well, he must have known he had a problem to get it stopped before he hit something here at Dover. Doesn't usually happen. So
that's
caution is up. Yes, it is. 15 laps in. We're under yellow in the MBNA.com 200. It's Dover Downs International Speedway with NASCAR on TNT, bringing you the MBNA.com 200. We're under caution. Curtis Davis spun in turn 4, though he didn't hit anything. AC Delco bringing you our look at the NASCAR Busch Series Championship standings. Kevin Harvick leading Jason Keller by 274 points with 7 races to go in the season. Harvick is running 5th. Jason Keller started 9th, but he fell back to 20th in those first 15 laps and then came down pit road under the caution flag. And Marty Snyder has an update there for us.
Yeah, he came down and lost a lot of spots, as you mentioned, on the racetrack. Alan, the car extremely loose for Jason Keller, and they put a full rubber in the right front. They closed up the left rear shock and the right front shock. All of those things should tighten him up. Jason, of course, second in points right now. They need a very good run, and this is one of his better racetracks, hoping that these big changes early on will help later in the race. They did not change any tires.
It's going to put Keller all the way back to 38th place for the restart, which will come up when we come back to the Monster Mile on TNT. The stars and stripes are everywhere, proudly on display. Race cars, pit areas, all throughout the grandstands here at Dover Downs International Speedway as we bring you NASCAR on TNT, the MBNA.com 200. About set to go back racing. Mike Skinner's your leader. Jimmy Spencer second, Jeff Green third, Ryan Newman fourth. Fifth is Kevin Harvick. Then you've got Mike McLaughlin, Eldon Sawyer, Kevin LePage, Greg Biffle, and David Green.
Oh! Ryan Newman gets passed by Kevin Harvick. He's getting passed by Mike McLaughlin. And here goes Harvick on the outside of Jeff Green.
Got to be careful on those restarts not to leave that hole open on the right side, because you can legally pass before you get to start-finish line if you do it on the outside. And Ryan left that hole open, and boy, a couple guys took advantage of it.
If you're Harvick, you got to be careful not to jump before that flag comes up in that starter's hand, too. He's been penalized for that before.
At this very racetrack last year. Repulsion to Ryan Newman. Now back to the 6th position. And you see he's moved up the racetrack, trying to get up. And, oh, don't run in the back of McLaughlin. The 10 car, something off the corner. He had to just jump out of the...
So McLaughlin is through Jeff Green, and now the door's open. 6 of them lined up down there. Here's what happened on the restart. Watch Kevin Harvick.
0-2, he left that outside lane open.
It almost looked like he may have missed a shift or something, but the car didn't go when everybody else went. So lucky he had a hole to go to, or he would have got run into.
Now here's Biffle, the 98 car of Eldon Sawyer was up trying to pass the 10 car on the bottom. And Greg Biffle has passed him the 60 car on the outside. And here comes Kevin LePage up on the outside of Eldon Sawyer. Man, these guys have all headed to the top of the racetrack.
6th place. Jeff Green trying to hang on to it. Greg Biffle trying to find a way through. Kevin LePage started back in 13th. 71 car.
Still there.
Wow, Jeff looks like he's loose. That car looked like he got loose getting into the corner that time.
Marty Snyder.
Well, you're right, Wally. He is extremely loose and doesn't seem to be getting any better the longer they run. What he and Ryan Newman are trying to do is move up the racetrack a little bit, trying to tighten their cars up by the line they take on the racetrack. That should help out, but extremely loose right now for the defending Busch Series champion.
Yeah, because what will happen is, if you're loose, especially going in, if you try to turn the car down to the bottom of the racetrack, that thing just wants to get sideways on you. So you kind of make a straighter shot into the corner to prevent turning the wheel too hard to get the car loose getting in the corner. And that's what Jeff Green's doing right now.
His brother David Green in the 34 has gone through. That's 9th place. Now Chad Little in the 74 working on Jeff Green for 10th.
And we're riding on board with Bobby Hamilton Jr. in the Dr. Pepper cars. He's on the inside, trying to get on the inside of Jeff Green. And now Ryan Newman. These tires, the air pressure starting to build back up. He's losing some of the fuel in the back of the car. The loose situation is getting better. He goes back by the 2 car of Kevin Harvick and moves back into 3rd spot.
While these two have been messing around for that 3rd position, 1st and 2nd have gotten away from them some. Mike Skinner and Jimmy Spencer are out front by about 2.5 seconds. You see the gap there. So they've kind of sailed away.
And BP, when you're talking about earlier, when they burn the fuel off, that actually makes the car heavy in the front. So when you go in the corner, that there's more weight in the front, and that should slide the front tires, which makes it push.
Which makes it push, that's right. That last lap, Ryan Newman, the 02 car, was fastest. The fastest car of the top 6. He was a half mile per hour almost faster than the 21 car of Mike Skinner.
Matt Kenseth starting to pick his way up through the field. 17 car started 20th. He's running 13th. Trying to get 12th from Hamilton Jr.
Now,
back to the 36 with room.
To me, it looks like the 26 is a little bit loose, too, and the 17 wants to. If he puts his nose right on the bumper of that 26 car, he'll get by him fairly easy.
Matt Kenseth's record here at Dover in Busch Series racing is pretty wild. He either finishes in the top 3 or he doesn't finish. The numbers are 3rd, 40th, 1st, 32nd, 38th, 3rd, 1st, 2nd.
17 came from the back, and he's just back behind your bumper. Behind you now, and he's not moving anymore. Here he comes. He's on your quarter panel. Go, go, go. You're clear.
Mike McLaughlin, the 18 car, has caught Kevin Harvick in the 2 car. And we see Harvick moving up the racetrack to that 2nd groove.
This is 4th place.
As we watch this, Ryan Newman continues to close in on the leader, Mike Skinner.
A wave of thank you there for McLaughlin on Harvick as he goes by him. So McLaughlin, a former winner here at Dover, up to 4th place. Let's mention that 5 cars have gone to the garage already. Bill Hoff never made the stretch. Jeffrey Bodine and Joe Nemechek are in it.
Oh, and is that Kelly Dent's
Truex?
Martin Truex Jr.
Car looks pretty clean there for Jeffrey.
Both front tires are flat. Other than that, don't see a lot of sheet metal damage.
There's Truex in that black car with the lime green trim. Mayetta, New Jersey driver, been very impressive in the NASCAR Busch North Series. This was his Busch Series debut. But the 21-year-old will not get a lot of experience today.
Looks like his wheels were pointed in opposite directions there.
Yeah, one's going south and the other one's trying to go west. That's not a good deal.
South and west.
Yeah.
Opposite directions, south and west.
Anyway, we got to talk about that. East and west.
33 laps in, 2nd caution of the MBNA.com 200.
And back here at Dover Downs, point leader Kevin Harvick surprises everybody by making a stop on pit road. They were going to pull a rubber out of the right front. Pit road was closed, and he's now down and away, but he surprises everyone with his early stop.
Other car he's going by is Jeffrey Bodine's machine that was involved in the incident that brought out the 2nd caution of the race. Bodine getting off surprisingly light for a spin at Dover. Interesting situation there for Harvick, pitting before the pit lane was open.
Yeah, I really don't understand that, because we could see that tells you the pit road is closed. Now, as the pace car goes by, the next time, no, it did not that time. It is still closed.
Yeah, it's closed because Martin Truex's car is sitting at the exit of the pit lane with all safety workers around it, and they don't want these guys screaming off the pit road after their stops through the scene where these people are trying to clean up.
Right.
Let's go take a look at what happened and put us under the caution flag.
Well, it looks like Jeffrey might have had a little bit of help. There he is, and he comes off the corner. It looks like a little bit of a bump from Jay Sauter in the 43 car. Around goes Jeffrey, and Joe Nemechek, the 87 car, drives in the smoke and loses control. And we see Truex starting to lose the back end.
And like I said earlier, it doesn't take anything here at Dover. I mean, if you just look at the car the wrong way, you're going to get him sideways, getting him off the corner here, especially off of turn 4.
2 team cars damaged. Nemechek, Randy LaJoie just got the left rear corner with his right front. Those are teammates.
Well, that wasn't nice of him.
Now, what happens to the 56 car, Martin Truex, is inexperience. He saw all the smoke, and he jumped off the gasoline. He just rapidly took his foot off the accelerator. And these cars, you can't do that. That will spin them out almost every time.
You know what it looked like, Benny? In that last look, we just caught it in the very side of it. It looked like he ran into the smoke and came right up on Ron Hornaday's car. Like when he came out of the cloud of smoke, Hornaday was sitting right there, and he turned to the right to keep from hitting him and got into the wall. I think that might have contributed to that, too.
And Jimmy Spencer decides to come down pit road in the 1 car, the second-place vehicle.
First, third, stay out. Most of the front runners stay out, but Spencer's in, Dave.
And even though he had caught Mike Skinner, they decided to come in and make just a slight adjustment. Jimmy reported that the car was a little bit loose coming in, but it was great going off. They'll just make an air pressure adjustment to correct that on the 1 car of Jimmy Spencer. Now let's go up pit road to Marty Snyder.
And Jeff Green has come in, Dave. He started second, had fallen back to 9th. The car very loose. He said in the center of the corner, I am just playing sideways. They're going to take a rubber out of the right rear. That's why it's taking a little longer to change the rear tires than it is the front tires, but it will be a 4-tire stop and hopefully a good adjustment for Jeff Green. Matt Yoakum.
And Elton Sawyer has already headed back down pit road, but he did say his car was sliding the nose through the corner, has no grip, so they're going to take a half a pound out of the right rear of the 98 car.
So Mike Skinner stays on track and holds on to the lead. Ryan Newman is second. It'll be Mike McLaughlin moving up to third. Then you'll have Greg Biffle into fourth and Kevin LePage fifth. And for the guys like Spencer and Harvick that pitted, they're going to be way back in the 30s in the running order when we get the restart. Back to Dover after this on TNT. Back at Dover, a lap away from the restart in the MBNA.com 200. Jimmy Spencer and Kevin Harvick making pit stops under the caution, but most of the other front runners staying put on the track. Harvick is going to be way back in the field. He has to drop to the end of the longest line for pitting before pit road was open.
Wow.
That's going to put him back about 33rd in line.
He's backing up as we speak.
All right, we're trying to decide what happened to Martin Truex here in that last caution, the 3rd car that was involved.
No, I mean, we're not trying to figure anything out. We know what happened. He just come off the corner. He saw the smoke. See all the smoke there? And I don't blame him. Oh, look, what's going on? He jumps off the throttle, and the back end comes around.
Yeah, I agree. He ran up on that thing, and the spotter was probably screaming in his ear. He was not used to that, maybe here at Dover or whatever. I don't know. But I think he lost it way, way, way back before the wreck happened.
His car has been towed away, and he will become the 6th driver in the garage already in this thing. Randy LaJoie, Joe Nemechek, each with a little damage in that crash. Matt?
And Alan, Randy LaJoie did make 2 stops under this caution. The first stop, they dropped the track bar 1.5 rounds, and they tried to beat down the right front fender and also the hood because they had a lot of cosmetic damage. It came back again, and they had to do a lot of tape as we go back to green.
Kevin Harvick is 32nd. Jimmy Spencer, after his pit stop, is only 12th in line.
Greg Biffle likes that outside move that Kevin Harvick did because he tried the same thing on the 18 car of Mike McLaughlin. Out of the lead, turn 3.
Newman is underneath Skinner.
Still there.
Back out in front.
And here comes McLaughlin trying to take a look on the inside of Skinner. Mike Skinner's car does not look that good. It looks like, why in the world did he not pit and make changes to it? Whoa, oh, Mikey, loose. Chase it, baby. That's good.
Matt?
Well, Benny, under that caution, Gil Martin, the crew chief for Skinner, and Mike Skinner had a long conversation about what to do strategy-wise. He said his car was very free on entry, but good off. But they didn't want to pit this soon. They're hoping to save their tires and be on a little bit different pit cycle, tire-wise, than some of the other contenders. They feel like they're going to be better later in the race. So that's why they decided not to pit. They said they'd rather drop back to 4th or 5th than pit now.
All right, thanks, Matt. Lap 43 brought to you by STP.
But, you know, the tire issue isn't really a big deal here at Dover. Do you think it is? I mean,
I think the only issue is just trying to find the correct balance on these tires. I talked to some of the crew chiefs down there today in Raleigh, and they were telling me that it seems like this particular right side tire is one of the most difficult tires that Goodyear's brought to the racetracks to try to find that perfect setup. They keep going either side of perfect.
So what they're saying is they're chasing tires. Every time they change a set of tires, it may change the setup.
Exactly.
Joe Nemechek damaged in that last crash, Liz.
Joe Nemechek came in for his first pit stop. They gave him 4 tires, worked on the right front, did a little sheet metal work, sent him back out. He was still tight, still rubbing. They brought him back in, did some more sheet metal work up there, and he said the car is okay, but, you know, this is not what you want to see right now, Alan.
No, he's not having a lot of fun, that's for sure. Back in 33rd place.
And where it'll really show up, when you've got good tires on it, you can mask a lot of problems with the body. But believe me, when he starts running that fuel off, and he does put some time in those tires, that car is going to be ill-handling.
Remember, this is the track where on May 15th, Joe Nemechek had a vicious crash testing this Busch Series team's car. Up in turn number 3, he slammed the wall hard after cutting down a right front tire and knocked him out of the driver's seat for 8 weeks.
Jimmy Spencer, the 1 car, trying to work his way back to the front. That is the battle for the 10th position, the 27 car of Jamie McMurray. I tell you what, Jimmy Spencer sitting there with 4 fresh tires in 10th spot. I'll take that any day.
Yep.
Oh, close. Matt Kenseth tries to get by the 27 of McMurray.
This is 11th place. Harvick is trying to work his way through traffic. He's back in 30th spot, Matt.
He has climbed to 30th. I spoke with Todd Barry of Scrooge about what happened, why they pitted when the pit road was closed. He said basically, usually on the second time by, the pit road is normally open. So Kevin just assumed it would be open. Todd didn't tell him it was open because he was talking over what to do to the chassis with Bobby Hutchins, the team's lead engineer. And so all of a sudden, here comes the blue deuce on pit road. But how many times have we seen Harvick come from the back to the front? He's done it before. He's going to try to do it again today.
Well, if he makes it all the way to the front, it's going to be interesting, I'll tell you that. He goes by Shane Hall, takes a spot away, and moves up to the 28th spot. But I said 28th. I didn't say 8th.
Yeah. Harvick's in kind of a slump here. Last couple of races, he's actually finished outside the top 10. That hasn't happened often so far this season.
That's Blaze Alexander, the 08 car that he goes by. The 66 of Jeffrey Bodine, the next car.
Bodine stayed on the lead lap after his spin. He's in 26th place. This is 3rd position we're looking at. McLaughlin in the 18 and Biffle in the 60. 50 laps of 200, a quarter of the distance complete in the MBNA.com 200. Here's the Wendy's race menu. What's coming up on TNT and NBC? Immediately following our Busch Series coverage, it's NASCAR Winston Cup final practice live from Dover. Tomorrow, the MBNA Cal Ripken Jr. 400 on NBC at 12:30 Eastern Time. And then our NASCAR at Night encore of the Dover race, Monday night, 1 a.m. Eastern and Pacific. Ryan Newman continues to lead the MBNA.com 200. He's pulled out 2 1/4 seconds on Mike Skinner. Greg Biffle is now running 3rd, Kevin LePage 4th. And Jimmy Spencer is up to 5th, and Biffle getting 3rd spot a minute ago was a little adventurous.
It sure was. As he came off turn 4, he gets on the inside. He gets on the inside of McLaughlin in the middle of the corner. Look at that car. That is what we call loose. That's almost as bad as our Williams virtual garage.
You're right, Benny. And he did a nice save with that, too.
Watch this as he comes. Yikes. Lost a lot of momentum because he had to jump out of the throttle to save the back. And not jump out of the throttle, ease out of the throttle to save the back.
And while he went by opening that inside lane, several others have gone by. McLaughlin, who's fallen all the way back to 8th place.
I cannot. This 02 car, Ryan Newman, the driver, the entire crew, they have been all year long with this automobile. They sit on poles, and right now, he's a couple miles per hour faster than anybody else out there. Marty?
Well, you know, Benny, they've been accused this year a lot of just being fast. Not very consistent, but just being fast. Sitting on poles, being good at the beginning of runs. So they came here to Dover and tested a couple of weeks ago with one thing in mind: developing consistency, being good on those long runs, which are always critical everywhere, but especially here at Dover because we have long green flag runs like we're having right now. And they feel like they found something to make them very good on those longer runs, and it's kind of showing right now. They didn't start out very fast in this run, but again, like we talked about earlier in the show, they've gotten better the longer they've run. Very key test for them a couple weeks ago right here at Dover.
And I'll tell you what, you know, I think this kid's come a long way, and I like him. He's got a good head on his shoulders, and he has learned a lot since the first few races we've seen him. So he's going to be tough today, and everywhere he goes, this team is on top right now.
He didn't make a lot of friends the first few Busch Series races he drove. Remember back in February at Rockingham, he locked horns with Todd Bodine, and they got knocking each other around. But then lately, all of a sudden, his last 4 finishes have really come around. He's finished first, the win at Michigan, 8th, 4th, and 7th. Last 4 times out. Checking back, Spencer climbing through the field on those fresh tires.
A battle for the 3rd position. I like Spencer's chances right now.
He's inside there. He's inside. Still there. Clear right. Clear all around.
That's Jack Rouse just spotted for the 60 car, Greg Biffle.
Got the 49 slow on the bottom, about 4 cars up in front of you here. Just don't let him mix up with you and these other guys.
Let's go to Dave Burns.
Now that Jimmy Spencer shows what new tires and a great setup and a great car can do, Greg Biffle watches him go by because right now his car is very tight. I just checked with his crew, and they may go as far as putting a spring rubber in the right rear on the next pit stop to try to loosen that car up and let Greg continue to race for the win here.
Clear left, clear all around.
Matt Kenseth moving through Kevin LePage just behind them. That was 5th place, trading places. Kenseth started back in 20th.
If they're going to catch a 0-2 car of Ryan Newman, they better make wholesale changes when they make their first pit stop. They better put rubbers in, take rubbers out, and make wholesale changes because he's going somewhere.
And Spencer's certainly not only at an advantage because of the fresh tires on these cars, Benny, but the fact that he's also got 36 laps more fuel on board. We're at lap 66 now. Newman and the other guys are going to have to stop at another 30 laps if we don't have a caution.
We see Chad Little on the inside of 71. Dave, what are they saying in the 74 pits?
Well, Benny, he started 15th today, and he's worked his way up. A couple of cars did come in for pit stops, but the car's running pretty well. I just checked with his crew, and they say it's a little bit tight in the center, and they will make an air pressure adjustment to correct that situation on the next pit stop. Marty?
Well, Dave, about 15 laps ago, Mike McLaughlin was fighting for the 3rd spot, which he gave up to Greg Biffle. He has now fallen back all the way to the 8th position. He started a little loose on this run, but he has gotten extremely loose the longer they have gone on. Now, while he's unhappy with the chassis right now, he's very happy with the engine. This is the first ever Busch Series engine to come from Joe Gibbs Racing, the in-house engine program. He said he has more horsepower right now than he's had in a long time. Problem is he can't use it. Car's too loose.
Tell me to go talk to Jarrett and Rudd over on the Winston Cup side. Those Robert Yates engines, they've had that problem for years.
Trying to get the rear wheels hooked to the ground is a difficult problem on these cars. But once they do, then they start screaming, we need more horsepower.
McLaughlin right now running in 7th. LePage and Hamilton Jr. behind him. They're all trailing Ryan Newman, who leads at lap 69 of the MBNA.com 200. NASCAR Busch Series Racing from Dover on TNT is brought to you by AC Delco Automotive Parts, when the right way is the only way. And by Smooth Busch Beer and easy drinking Busch Light. Busch, the proud sponsor of the NASCAR Busch Series. 75 of 200 laps complete in the MBNA.com 200. Ryan Newman's your leader.
And he's saying, see you, boys. Right now, Jimmy Spencer's taking over the 2nd spot, and he is almost 8 seconds behind Ryan Newman. And why did Spencer take over the 2nd spot? Something has happened to the 21 car of Mike Skinner.
Yeah, Mike Skinner's motor does not sound too sharp right now.
Look at the gap all the way back to Spencer. Matt, what's going on with Skinner?
Well, Alan, the problem on the 21 car, he's lost a cylinder. The guys in the booth correct. He is down on power. They're hoping that maybe something is going to miss with the plug wires. So they do have some other plug wires up here on the pit wall. So when they do pit, they're going to try and see if hopefully that's the problem. But right now, these guys are very disappointed. They knew they had a great car. They're hoping that it's just a minor problem that they can fix.
Not bad in the corners, but right about here is when it hurts.
We got a lot of room right there.
That's Mike Dillon spotting for Mike Skinner. So Biffle to fourth, Skinner back to fifth, and Chad Little coming up behind him.
Now, if they do catch a yellow, they can get the hood up on anything. If it is a plug wire, they can change it and not lose a lap. But that's a if.
If they get a yellow, that's right.
And remember, he has not stopped yet in the race, so he's only got another 15 laps or so before he's going to have to come in under the green if there's no caution. Kenny Wallace in the 48, Jamie McMurray in the 27. This is for 10th place.
And meanwhile, this is about a half lap, a little bit more than a half lap behind the leader, Ryan Newman. Of course, everyone's a long ways behind the leader, Ryan Newman.
Kenny started back in the 21st position.
And also, we showed you Greg Biffle just a moment ago past the 21 car. That was a battle for the fourth position because the 17, Matt Kenseth, has moved into third.
Hamilton Jr. trying to get around Kevin LePage. 71 car of Kevin in 8th place. Talked about guys making long drives when the tragedy struck New York. LePage was in Vermont for a charity golf tournament that he hosts to raise money. And when the airline shut down and the race in New Hampshire was canceled, the Winston Cup race was postponed, he and his wife Donna loaded up in a car and drove back to North Carolina.
They actually drove back in a van with my golf clubs.
Yes, they did. Your golf clubs were up in Vermont with him because
I was going to play in this golf tournament, and we could not get there. So they had a van that carried clubs and material up there for the tournament. So Don and Kevin jumped in the van and came on home.
You're all around. Carlo, you're clear.
84 car they've just gone around is Dion Ciccarelli. Coming up on halfway, coming up on some green flag pit stops for the leader in the MBNA.com 200 on TNT. Ryan Newman in the 02, the leader of the MBNA.com 200 as he completes the 89th lap, coming up on halfway. Let's take a look at the dramatic series Law and Order on TNT.
The most acclaimed series on TV, Law and Order, is now on TNT 4 nights a week at 8.
You have to talk to me.
The girl is just violent, Jack.
Get caught up all over again with Law and Order 4 nights a week on TNT.
Watch Law and Order Monday through Thursday at 8 p.m. on TNT. Ryan Newman's lead over Jimmy Spencer is decreasing.
Well, it was, because as the 02 car of Newman ran across some traffic, he did lose about 3 seconds to Spencer. But once he cleared that traffic, and I checked him on Clear Racetrack, and they were about the same speed.
Fail.
Trouble off turn 2. Jimmy Johnson has got problems.
Well, these guys caught the brake on the yellow. Big time.
You blow up? I know it smells like it. I don't have a clue what it is. It's oil. It's all over the rear tires.
It might have
blown. Did it spit out? Oh, I'm coming to pit road smoking like crazy. All right, come on in here. Come on in here. Jack up the left side.
Tony Liberati, the crew chief, talking with Jimmy Johnson there. Third caution of the race comes out just shy of leader Ryan Newman needing to make a green flag pit stop. Got to have luck to win a race.
Man, that was very, very lucky. You heard Tony Liberati, Rambo say, jack up the left side, and let's see if we can see where the oil's coming from. I think it's an oil line is blown off.
I got to agree with you, BP. If it's running and didn't blow up, An oil line fitting probably came loose. All that oil is blowing on the
Start it up.
headers.
Watch your eyes, guys. Watch your eyes. Start it up. Cut it off. Cut it off.
He must have seen what the problem was.
When you say watch your eyes, that means oil's going to fly.
Hose. I need a dead 10 hose.
There you go. Look at all the oil on the hood right there.
Yeah.
That's.
Hey, Ron, we're going to have to take that thing off the motor. We're going to have to take the thing off the motor. That's going to be actually... Right, take off the... Yeah, take it off.
Pit road is open, and the leader is coming in. So isn't Spencer, Kenseth, Biffle.
Did you see his 5-second lead just vanished there as Spencer closed in right on the back? Dave, here they come.
Jimmy Spencer comes in now. He did report that the car was a little bit tight, so therefore the crew is going to make a wedge adjustment and a slight air pressure adjustment as well to try to make that car better for Jimmy. I don't see the wedge wrench going in yet, though, so they may have just decided at the last minute to make the... There it goes. Now we get the wedge wrench in. They will make that adjustment and send Jimmy on his way. Let's go to Marty.
Ryan Newman is in, Dave, his 5th pole of the year. He started on the pole, running first when he comes in. The car started loose, was very good at the end of the run. They go down 1 round on the track bar. That should tighten him up, especially from the middle of the corner off. A very quick stop for Ryan Newman's team. They win the race off pit road. To Matt Yoakum.
Mike Skinner had faded to 12. Remember, he was down on 7 cylinders. They are now going to raise the hood and see if they can see anything visually. Maybe a plug wire came off, something like that, to see if they can fix. Hopefully, it will be a minor problem, is what Gil Martin is saying. They're going to change out some wires and look at different things here, but luckily they have a caution. If this was going to be a green flag stop, they were just going to make 4 tires and go. But since this is a caution, they can take some time to see what is wrong, and they're going to get ready here to see if they can push the car if they have to get it refired.
Well, they better hurry because they're about to go a lap down. Doesn't sound like they fixed it.
No, I think that they might have diagnosed it, and they're going to... Uh-oh, come on, Mike, don't kill the engine. Now he's going to go back out and try to come back around, and since they diagnosed the problem, maybe they can fix it the next time, or the next time.
Yeah, it doesn't sound healthy. You hear it accelerating there?
Didn't I hear one of them say it's a wire?
Whoa, what's that? What was that?
Water bottle. Somebody threw the water bottle out.
And they, why didn't do it to the NASCAR Busch Series official? They can pick it up and get it off the racetrack.
Well, maybe he was thirsty.
Look like, Mike?
Maybe he's just going to give the board man a drink.
Not going to be real long, Gil. It ought to be another lap or 2. You listen to NASCAR.
It's Mike Dillon talking to Gil Martin, spotter, crew chief.
Now, folks, that's a very ugly sound.
Back it down.
To Liz Allison.
Now I'm with Joe Nemechek, who is in the garage area. Joe, I know you don't want to be back here right now. What happened?
Wrong place at the wrong time. The 66 car got turned sideways and had to commit one way or the other and end up hitting the wall trying to avoid him. And then Randy Joy got in the back of me. So it bent the right front suspension pretty bad. It was wearing the outside of the tire real bad, and just don't need to take a chance on wrecking a race car. Just a tough weekend for those of you one Chevy team. These guys working hard. It's just good to be back.
And he'll be ready to start 16th in the Winston Cup race tomorrow. Alan?
Joe Nemechek, one of 7 drivers who are out of this race before halfway.
Here comes Mike again. They're going to see if they can maybe get it changed this time quick enough before that pace car comes around and puts them a lap down.
Did you see when they raised the hood, all that smoke on the hood a moment ago?
Hey, guys, here we come.
That was somebody's gloves or hands or whatever.
Hopefully not skin.
Hopefully not skin. Hopefully that was a glove or a towel or something that was laying on the exhaust system.
Motor off.
It looks like they've got a spark plug wire that they're going to replace.
Matt?
Alan, they have diagnosed the problem for Skinner's car. Apparently one of the plug wires either burned in half or something. It leaned against the header and it's burned through, so now it's arcing, so that's why he's down a cylinder. They're talking about changing the wires and changing some other things underneath that car. You talk about the camaraderie between the 2 and the 21 teams. Ron Liddell, the engine specialist for Kevin Harvick, came down. He was consulting with Gil Martin, trying to figure out what it could be and what to do to solve this problem.
Matt will follow up on that story for us, and we're going to get the restart in another lap and a half, so we'll take a break here. You're watching NASCAR on TNT. Back at Dover and back underway in the MVNA.com 200. Ryan Newman leads. Matt Kenseth is second. Jimmy Spencer third. Mike McLaughlin fourth. And Greg Biffle is fifth.
Well, what we've seen so far, if Kenseth is going to do anything with a 0-2 car, he better do it quickly.
Right, because like you said earlier, BP, Ryan Newman's car is a little bit loose on new tires. They got to wait for that fuel to burn off, then that car gets really fast.
And here's Chad Little trying to get on the inside of Greg Biffle, a battle for the 5th position.
Problem is the lap car. Jeffrey Morai was there. Ron Hornaday had gone up and just scraped the wall in the middle of 1 and 2, and you just caught the end of it when he came back down into traffic.
And Kevin Harvick, the points leader of the 2 car, trying to get by. It looks like the Hornaday has flattened the right side of the vehicle.
Ron falling back. He's in 21st place now and losing ground. No, they did not get the problem on Mike Skinner's car fixed. It still sounds somewhat sick.
Kevin Grubb, the 37 car, back in 24th position.
Here's what happened to Hornaday.
That's the gray area. There's no traction up there. All that dirt and debris, it's like a sheet of ice.
Kevin Harvick
up there, coming back down the track there. That left car, watch him. He's really still going, clear low, clear low. He's outside up there, left car.
Kevin Harvick spotter. All right, Newman's got this thing. Oh, and we see Kenny Wallace, the 48 car, trying to get on the inside of Biffle, and Biffle very loose off turn 2.
This is 6th place. Dave Burns.
Alan, Greg Biffle came in during that pit stop, and they had a 16.5-second stop, which is a pretty good one, considering they put a rubber in the right rear. That takes a little bit of extra time. But the problem was when he came into his pit, he had to swing wide around Jimmy Spencer's car and crew, and he got into his pit really deep. And so when he tried to leave, Chad Little's car right in front of him was actually in a fairly good position, but Biffle couldn't make the turn to get around him, so they had to push his car back, and they lost at least one spot on pit road that they wouldn't have otherwise.
You know, and I was watching that happen, and another problem was Chad had to come in and swing tight, and he actually hit the tire, the right front tire, off of Biffle's car into one of his own crew guys, and that cost him a few seconds at his pit stop.
Let's go back and take a look at those 2 drivers on the track a couple of laps ago. Things got interesting.
There we see Chad Little, 74 car, and Biffle is 60, and whoa!
Now see, Biffle was already loose before Chad got there. Chad didn't initiate that. That 60 car was loose when he got there, and I don't think Chad had anything to do with that.
I agree with that. But Biffle might be like the 0-2 car of Ryan Newman. He's very loose right now, but as he burns fuel and gets 30-40 laps into this run, it may be much better than it was the last time when it was very tight.
But didn't they say they put a rubber in the right rear?
Yeah. It was tight the last time, and they're trying to fix that problem. It's way too loose right now. It may get better as he burns fuel, kind of like we saw the 0-2 car.
The second on back to the same line.
Jamie McMurray in the 27, Kevin LePage in the 71. This is 8th and 9th spot. McMurray's doing a great job today. Young driver just making his 2nd start ever here at Dover in the Williams car. Finished 19th here in June. And McMurray started in 16th place. He's running in the top 10 trouble.
Dion Ciccarelli has backed it in the wall, and the caution flag is out. Turn 2.
The monster bit him.
The monster reached out and grabbed hold of him and chewed up the back end of that car.
Severn, Maryland is Ciccarelli's hometown. Former competitor on the NASCAR Weekly Racing Series at the Old Dominion Speedway. Dave Burns.
Well, Ron Hornaday thought he had a right rear flat, and that was the reason why he figured he got a little caught up in the wall there. But now they've got something deeper on the car, and Ron has taken the steering wheel off. I believe he feels the motor is done. and they are looking it over and saying it's over for Ron Hornaday. So wasn't a particularly good car to begin with for Ron, and it's really gone downhill from there.
Fourth caution of the race, Dion Ciccarelli involved. And here's a look at what happened.
Well, can't see too much from that angle.
No other cars around, so we would just assume that as he got down in the corner, the car got up from under him and he backed her in the fence.
He got an experience lesson at Dover.
Yes, he
That's
did.
what happened.
And you know, those experience lessons are so expensive.
Yes, they are. So under caution here, just past halfway, Ryan Newman is your leader.
Back at Dover Downs International Speedway, where we are under caution at the moment, and Ron Hornaday has been having some trouble with his car. Ron, at first we thought maybe it was just a tire situation, but then I guess the motor let go.
Well, I thought it was a tire, but it's sure a lot of fun to run this channel lock Monte Carlo. But I just guess a fitting came loose or something. We went in the corner and the car really turned sideways and didn't think nothing of it. I wiggled it around for a couple laps and the car was pretty good. So I just went back to the front and started trying to go back to the front, and motor locked up. So I think I ran it out of water, and I got to thank these guys. A lot of fun to come over and run this Busch stuff. But our thoughts and prayers are with all the victims out there. And Al here, he's missing his brother right now, and hopefully we can find him soon.
Well, and Al, they had 2 pit stops already, and Al told me earlier that he nailed him and he got all the fuel in. But I know your thoughts are elsewhere for your brother Peter. Does this help you get back to normal a little bit?
Well, I guess as much as we can, I guess.
I think that's everybody's attitude. It's time to get back to life as normal, but you never really can. And of course, his thoughts are still with finding his brother, and he'll be back to New York City soon.
Boy, we wish him well. Back at it. 112 laps in the books. Kenseth trying to do something with Newman for the lead.
On board with Matt Kenseth as he goes down in turn 1. That Ryan Newman car right on the bottom of the racetrack.
Just drove away. They can talk about how much horsepower this team's all they want. That car's working good in the corners right now. Right through the center of the corner, that 02 car is hooked up.
Here comes Spencer closing in third. Marty has more on the leader.
Well, remember how we talked about at the very beginning of the race? He was loose at the beginning of the run. They made that track bar adjustment in an attempt to tighten him up at the beginning of the run. He was just a little bit snug, and as he described the car under the caution, it's perfect right now. So I think Matt Kenseth's going to have his hands full trying to catch Ryan Newman. And one thing to throw in, if we go green, Ryan Newman's team say they can go all the way without stopping again.
Wow. That's over 100 laps. Although a few of the laps have been run under the caution flag. A lot of racing.
A lot of racing.
On one tank of fuel.
While we watch the leaders, a couple of quick updates. Kevin Harvick is back in 21st spot. Second man in points, Jason Keller, is in 14th. Here's a race for 5th. It's Chad Little and Greg Biffle again.
Well, Chad Little was in front of Biffle, and on the restart, somehow, Biffle got back in front of the 74 car, and here they are again.
Still there. Still there. Still there.
It's Jack Roush talking to Greg Biffle, we're hearing.
Still there. Still low.
No, not yet, Jack.
Inside. He's back in there.
Yeah, he is, Jack. Might have been an early call on that clear low.
Still inside there. Still there.
Greg Biffle, the 60 car, really is not getting through 3 and 4 very well. He's doing well here, but he isn't able to get through 3 and 4.
Back inside. He's inside there. There'll be 4 of them if they start. There. Now you're clear low.
On board with Greg Biffle as out of the back bumper, he looks back at the 74. But look at the 74 come through 1 and 2.
Talked to Bill Baumgartner, Chad Little's car owner, this morning. He said, my 2 cars, Chad Little and Tony Raines, will run to the front today. He said, you know, there are worse things for one of my drivers than a visit to the NASCAR trailer. It's a visit to my office on Monday morning.
You're clear. You're all clear.
Now, if I heard correctly, the 60 car had to get out of the gas there about 3/4 through the turn, and that's where you see Chad really grab him.
He's inside. He's barely inside. He's in there. Up to your door. Clear behind him if you want it.
Right there. Go, Chad. Slide her up there.
It's probably just what Greg Biffle wanted to hear. There's room behind him.
Yeah.
Okay, enough of this.
Here, Biffle just playing with the throttle. The whole object of when the car is really handling, the driver's able to just wade right back in the throttle. Let's take a lap, folks. Right along with Greg Biffle as he tries to keep up with the 74 and listen.
78 to go, 78.
Turning back to the right.
That look like that car's pushing now to me.
No, it's very loose. When he turns that thing back to the right, folks, he's trying to catch the back end. Jeffrey Bodine, the Phillips 66 car, moves over. Lets Biffle go by on the outside.
Thing that's interesting to point out, if you watch the position of the steering wheel on the straightaway, these straightaways are banked as steeply as the corners at some tracks. So when he's going down the straightaways, he's got the wheel turned to the right to keep the car going straight.
Either that or he doesn't have the wheel straight to begin with when he left the pit lane. Which happens, I mean, you know, when you're sitting on a flat area like pit lane, you say, okay, steering wheel straight. Then when you get up on the racetrack, it, like you said, Alan, it moves the wheel. So that's why you see a lot of cars stop on the pace lap and reposition the wheel on the racetrack.
The camber of the cars and the banking of the track and so on, if you let go of that steering wheel, the car's going to turn to the left.
Real hard.
Yeah,
you're right.
Even on a track that appears flat, like Daytona's backstretch, it's still got a couple degrees banking to the left in it.
And like I say, these cars have what they call a little bit of lead in them a lot of times. So even if you're on a flat area and you let go of the steering wheel, it turns to the left.
And Kenny Wallace trying to get on the inside of Biffle. He's right there. Looks like his car is working pretty well, Dave.
It is, Benny. It's still a little bit tight, but that's better than they were at the beginning of their weekend. They're playing catch-up because they started off a little bit differently. They usually practice on race setup and then go to qualifying setup, but they didn't do that this weekend per Kenny's choice, and it put them kind of out to lunch. They qualified only 21st best, so they've been moving up through the field and now have a pretty good race car.
So Kenny Wallace moves into the 6th position. Picked up 15 spots since the very beginning.
Dover's not been a very good track for Kenny Wallace in NASCAR Busch Series competition. He's got only 4 top 10s here in 14 races. Right now, though, he's running in 6th. And while we're watching this, you're not missing a thing up front because Ryan Newman has left the field. He's out in front by 2 seconds on 2nd place, Matt Kenseth. 127 laps complete, 73 to go in the MBNA.com 200. .67 laps to go at Dover Downs International Speedway, the MBNA.com 200, led by Ryan Newman, who's turning in a dominating performance. Newman and Mike Skinner, the only two who've led. Skinner for 35 laps. His car's dropped a cylinder. He's fallen back. Newman has led the other 99. 4 caution flags. Relatively minor, most of them. Check in on the championship story. 7 races to go in the season. How are the top 2 faring, Matt?
Well, currently, Alan, Kevin Harvick has climbed back up to 19th, but he continues to say his car is tight. He has no feeling in the front. They've made significant changes in all 3 pit stops. The last one, they made a track bar adjustment, ample around the fenders, and then when it was done, they said Anything else, we're going to see if I want to go over the wall and help out because they don't know what else to do. Kevin Harvick says he's not sure what to do to this race car. It's just so tight to Marty Snyder.
Well, Matt, early in the race, we talked about Jason Keller coming down pit road very early on before anyone else, making all those changes because he was loose. And guess what? Now the car's tight. But he is running 15th, and he is very aware of Kevin Harvick's problems. And in the last 2 races, they have picked up over 100 points on Kevin Harvick. They desperately want to keep that going. He trails by 274 in the point standings, and he's up by him on 4 spots on the racetrack.
Hey, Matt, don't fall for that trick going over pit wall. All they want to do is somebody to run over you so they'll get a caution flag. They work on the car. Don't fall for that trick, buddy.
Yeah, I don't think I will, Benny. I'm not sure if my insurance will cover that under workman's comp. But one other update, guys, on the 21. Speaking of Kevin Harvick, his teammate Mike Skinner still has the dropped cylinder. They changed plug wires. They still do not know what the problem is in the 21 car.
And they haven't asked for your help yet, have they?
No, they haven't asked my help over there. They told me to go back over to the 2 pit. I might be of some help there, Gil Martin said.
Whoa. Got to give those guys a little credit. They know better than to ask for Matt's help.
No, they sent him over to the 2 car. They figured, yeah, help the 2 car.
Yeah. So Harvick back in 20th. Matt mentioned Mike Skinner. He's the last car on the lead lap in 23rd. Jason Keller running in 15th. Got 23 cars on the lead lap. But, you know, the tough spot for today where Keller is concerned is he's not been able to take advantage of Harvick's problems.
As the cars come through turn 2, you see these white spots there and there? See those?
Those are white spots.
No, now, you know what. Tell the folks what they are, Wally. Tell them about the grinding.
Well, they came in when the IRL cars, the Indy cars came here and run. The track was so rough. They came in and they smoothed out the bumps of the racetrack. They used some kind of a laser or grinder or something, and they took the bumps out of the racetrack. Actually helped the Cup cars. It's made it a lot smoother for the Cup cars and a lot faster, and the Busch cars as well. There were some big bumps, too.
Those are white spots.
How big were they?
Going down into turn 1, it felt like jumping off the roof on a pogo stick. How about that one?
That's pretty good. I've never tried that, but
have you experienced this before?
Of course I have, or I wouldn't have said it. But you do. There's a big bump in 1, and when you dive down in 1, it's like the whole. You actually can see the wheels drop out from underneath the cars when they go down turn 1. It's amazing.
Check in on the race for 5th. Kenny Wallace is reeling in Chad Little. There they are.
74 car, Chad Little. 48, Kenny Wallace. This battle is, I don't know, I'm going to guess about 6-7 seconds behind the leader. We'll make that 8 seconds.
Dropping back from there.
77 car, Curtis Davis. We saw him spin earlier.
He's running back in 32nd spot, 4 laps down. There's Hank Parker Jr. He's in 12th place. Talked to him on the pace laps. Started in 14th.
Let's listen to Hank right along with him and see how his car is handling. Not bad. He seemed like he came off the corner with a lot of throttle as he went by the 49 car, Ken Alexander.
Keeping the car fairly low through the corners, picking the throttle up early. Looks good.
After falling back some, you saw the scoring serial on Hank a minute ago. He's picked his way steadily back through traffic. Right now he's about 1.5 seconds behind Tony Raines to try and pick up the next position. Laps to go. Ryan Newman has led 111 of 147 laps so far. There are a lot of ways to show your spirit. There's one. USA 1. As we look down on the scene around Dover Downs International Speedway from our U.S. Army Skycam.
That was a pretty nice scene.
Yeah. GoArmy.com is where you can find out more on the 212 ways to be a soldier.
But there's a scene on the racetrack that our NASCAR Busch Series point leader did not like to see. He saw the 0-2 car of Ryan Newman put him a lap down just a couple laps ago. There he is, the AC Delco Deuce, 1 lap down, back in the 20th position.
Hamilton Jr. gone a lap down. Now Jason Keller has gone a lap down. And again, the big shame on the day for Keller. This is perhaps his best track, and he's not been able to take advantage of Harvick's mistake early in the race to gain some points in that championship.
And look at that. Kenseth is almost 5 seconds behind the leader, Ryan Newman.
Let's check up on Larry Foyt. He's back in 25th position, a couple of laps down, making his first start back after missing the race at Richmond a couple of weeks ago. Dave Burns can tell us more.
And of course he missed that race because he was injured in the wreck with Steve Park at Darlington. I talked to Larry just before the race got started, and he told me he was feeling pretty well. He didn't even feel any of his injuries during practice and qualifying this weekend, but he did say he considered not wearing the Hutchins head and neck restraint device this weekend because it has a strap that goes between your legs, and well, that's kind of where Larry got hurt the hardest. But he also said his tailbone was kind of hurting him. But again, he said all of those injuries did not bother him this weekend, and he decided it was better to go with the Hutchins device and put it on and take his chances on, you know, maybe a couple of bruises here and there elsewhere.
Thank you, Dave.
Yeah, I was going to say, go ahead, Wally. You follow up on that one.
Too easy.
Let's just tell them that Jason Keller is now on pit road in the 57 car. As Kenny Wallace closes in on the 4th place car of Mike McLaughlin, and
Still there.
Almost took it away from him.
Wallace getting by Chad Little a couple of laps ago.
Clear all around.
There's Keller leaving pit road after a green flag stop, Marty.
Well, as we just talked about a little while ago, the car is now tight for Jason Keller. They did take 1 round of wedge out. They did give him 4 tires, and they're hoping they can get some distance on Kevin Harvick, maybe gain just a few more points.
Well, they've lost a lap to Harvick now by making that stop, so they're not gaining any distance on him. Caution comes out here, and that's really going to be an expensive pit stop.
I would guess that they're just gambling that the 2 car of Kevin Harvick will have to make another pit stop, and maybe they can make an adjustment, put fresh tires on this 57 car and make some distance on the 2 car, because they were running together on the racetrack.
Yep.
The 23 car, Scott Wimmer, has just gone a lap down to the 0-2 of Ryan Newman.
This championship fight here for Jason Keller. Opportunity lost today here in Dover so far for Ryan Newman. The impressive late season run he's having in the NASCAR Busch Series continues. He's led 126 of those 161 laps. A dominating performance here in Dover today by Ryan Newman, who is well in command of the NBNA.com. 233 laps to go. Newman has led 132 circuits so far in search of his 2nd Busch Series win. This was the first one back in Michigan in mid-August. Newman running to the checkered flag there, touching off a pretty fun victory celebration.
Oh yeah, crew celebrating. Ryan Newman celebrates. He does a tremendous burnout on the start-finish line of Michigan Speedway, and then he gets lost. I hope if he wins today, I hope he has better luck in trying to find Victory Lane. He finally did find it. There he is. You know, did Marty Snyder say that he could go the rest of the... Marty, how many laps are we talking about him running on 1 tank of fuel?
That would be 105, Benny, and their max fuel window coming into the race was 105. I asked Matt Borland again. I've asked him twice now. I asked him again. I said, so if this goes green, for sure, you are not going to stop again? He said, I am definitely not stopping. They would have to go 105 laps. Plus, they've had some laps of caution in there to help them out a little bit so they can go all the way on fuel. Now, I asked Matt McSwain, the chief mechanic for the car, I said, what kind of burnout does he have planned if he does win the race? This is the same car that won at Michigan, so I asked him, what kind of burnout does he have planned? He said, all he would say was that it was going to be big, so watch for that. And he does not know where Victory Lane is. They're pretty sure. He has no idea where it is here at Dover either.
Newman coming up on the back of the 13th place car. And look at this. Drivers who got their first...
Still there, still there, still there.
First Busch Series win at Dover in their first try here. 8 times it's happened. That's pretty remarkable.
That is remarkable. Ryan Newman could certainly make that number 9.
It's been a good track for drivers getting their first Busch Series win, period. 26 drivers have won races here at Dover over the years. 12 of those 26, nearly half, have been their first ever Busch Series victory. Let's go to Matt Yoakum.
And Alan, Jamie McMurray was looking for his first career top 5 3 times this year. He's been 10th. He climbed up to 8th, reporting his car was a little bit tight in the center, but then about 10 laps ago, he reported into his crew chief, Jay Guy, the car is now very loose off the corner. He's concerned maybe a tire is going down. The spotter is watching his car closely. They've told Jamie to try a much higher line for a few laps to see if he can feel out the race car, and then he'll report back in.
Meantime, the leader has put Elton Sawyer a lap down, Jay Saunders a lap down, David Green has gone a lap down. Now McMurray, and he's about to put Randy LaJoie in the 7, a lap down. Trouble back straightaway. Car in the wall. Curtis Davis. And a much needed caution flag is waving over this race. Hated for Curtis.
What do you do now? What do you do now, O2 BP?
Well, I think they're going to stop and get some tires.
Yeah.
Because right now they only have about 13 cars in the lead lap.
This young man has been here at Dover for about, what, a decade?
At least, longer than that.
In that same spot, he waves the flags on every car in qualifying, every lap of the race. The difference is he's about 2 feet taller than he used to be 10 years ago.
But now the car has stalled at the entrance to turn 3 at the end.
Got his Steve Park t-shirt on.
Yep. I used to pay attention to him more than the guy up in the tower.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And why was that?
I could see him better.
Let's see if we can see what happened to Curtis Davis as he came off turn 2. Looks like he's on the bottom of the racetrack. Just
looks like maybe he pinched the car down and got it loose.
That's right.
Tried to cut under Randy Tolsma.
And into the wall he goes. And you talk about a bloody nose now. That is the premier bloody nose.
Now we got a snowplow for the Loudon race now on November 23rd.
Where?
Harvick saw that we heard him just burp the throttle a little bit as he saw the Curtis Davis car spin. Decided that all was well. He would carry on. Okay, we're going to pit now this time. Ryan Newman, he can make it on fuel. Is he going to stop and get tires?
Yeah, I'm coming. I'm coming for tires.
Is the pit road open this time?
Pit road is open.
Pit road is open.
24 laps to go. Leader's on the apron. He's coming in.
All right, who's going to stay out?
Wow.
I wouldn't think anybody.
3,000. 3,000.
Well, it's very difficult not to get caught speeding here because the speed limit is 35 miles per hour. Dave Burns are coming to you.
And Matt Kenseth, the second place car, has called in for a turn out of the left rear as far as wedge goes to adjust that chassis. He's just a little bit tight in the center of the corner. They're also going to change 4 tires, but they said 1 can of gas only. We don't want to get caught waiting for that. Marty.
Ryan Newman is in. He is a little bit tight, Dave. They will put no fuel in for Ryan Newman. It will be a 4-tire stop. They make an air pressure adjustment and a wedge adjustment to try and loosen him up just a little bit, but they're very happy with the car. He describes it as very comfortable, and they will not win the race off pit road. A little bit longer stop than they wanted.
Trouble on that left side, and Marty, looks like he's been lied to again because they put some fuel in that car. You know, I love it when these guys just lie. Don't you just lie right through the teeth?
No reason not to make sure.
Well, that's true. I mean, again, that was the smart thing to do, just to make sure you're going to make it the rest of the way. Matt, what you got for us?
Well, Benny, I'll tell you what, a change in strategy for Kevin LePage. Before the car hit pit road, they were only going to take on 2 tires. At the last minute, they decided on 4. He entered pit road 9th. No changes on the 71 car. He says his car was just slightly tight in the center of the corner.
Looks like Mike McLaughlin is going to be the first one off pit road. We'll check the restart order when we come back to Dover. Less than a lap from the restart here in Dover, and things have gotten shaken up. Ryan Newman, who's led 141 of the 178 laps, is back. Mike McLaughlin's the leader. Jeff Green second. Greg Biffle third. There is Newman fourth. Then Matt Kenseth, Kenny Wallace, Jimmy Spencer, Kevin LePage, Chad Little, and Tony Raines.
All right. His car has been so fast on the long runs. How good is he going to be for 21 laps? Is all the spotters there ready to tell their drivers when the green flag comes out and everything else they need to know?
Let's mention that McLaughlin took only 2 tires on his pit stop. That's how he got out in the lead.
Ready, and green flag, green flag. Clear all around.
And we see the 10 car, Jeff Green, going for the lead on turn 2. Greg Biffle, the 60 car, is going to try to follow.
Here comes Elton Sawyer. 98 car, 3 deep. Elton is the first car 1 lap down.
And here comes the 02 car, Ryan Newman. He's got a car on the inside. Kenseth is there. Newman cannot get to the bottom.
Remember that one. 20 to go.
And here comes Spencer. He's going to go on the inside of Newman.
Newman's got to be patient here.
Yeah, he really does. For the meantime, the 10 car is checking out. He's got clean.
Oh, together.
Contact.
Is Newman going to save it? Yes, he saved it, but he loses more positions.
Okay, he can't be patient anymore.
No.
18 to go. He's back to 7th.
Well, now he's a little bit mad. So all that patience just went out the window.
Meanwhile, here's the 17 car of Matt Kenseth on the inside of 18.
Oh, did you see that?
I told you he was mad. He cut right down across Jimmy's nose.
Here he comes to the inside of Kenny Wallace for 5th.
Takes that spot away. Newman still on the inside of the 18 car. They're side by side. Which one does Newman go with? He picked the 18 the last time. That didn't work. Oh, he might go on the inside of both of them.
He has got such a fast race car. But meantime, look at that 10 car going away.
Jeff Green out in front, 2.5 seconds on the 2nd place car of Greg Biffle.
Watch this. Watch this. 3 wide. Oh, he just body slams. And the 18 car and 17 both in the wall hard.
Field stacking up, but everybody gets it under control. Caution's out.
Oh, tough break for Jeff Green. But how much damage did the 02 car get in this?
Well, more than likely, he's got probably the right side fender is probably very close to the right front tire.
Okay, 10-4.
Tough luck for Mike McLaughlin.
I guess he said to his spotter he's okay.
Now, if we look at the right front, though, he's got a lot of damage.
A lot of damage to that car.
Oh, Jeff Green's loving this. Jeff Green is loving this.
But he can't pit, can he? Can Ryan Newman? He can't afford to pit if he has any aspirations of winning.
I don't think if the tire's rubbing, I wouldn't pit. But it depends on if he knocked the toe out or he damaged the suspension on that hit with the right front.
Matt Kenseth has driven his car to the garage with McLaughlin out as well. That's going to leave just 10 cars on the lead lap. Would you pit? Just 10 on the lead lap?
If I was
Newman?
I wouldn't if I didn't feel anything. If I didn't feel anything wrong with the steering, I would stay out.
I know you just said that, but with knowing there are just 10 cars on the lead lap, would you pit? Was the question. Well, you know what? You're wrong. Here he comes on the pit road.
Pull that fender off that right front.
He must. Well, he obviously feels something wrong.
Don't lose a lap. Just get the window down. Let's get out of here.
Go ahead, Dave.
Radio chatter going on, continuing. And they're going to try not to lose a lap. Boy, they didn't get to do anything on that car. We'll see if they're going to now take it around to the garage. But they wanted to come in for a quick check to see if they could work on it and fix it and not lose a lap, which they did. They beat the pace car out. Let's go to Marty.
Well, the debate that we were having is the same debate they were having on the radio of Ryan Newman's team, whether or not to come down pit road, whether or not the damage was bad enough to make a pit stop. They decided to do it. Rusty Wallace, the Winston Cup mentor for Ryan Newman, said don't do it. Matt Borland, the crew chief, said come down pit road, and they pull away the right front fender. That's where they thought the most damage was, and they have obviously now lost their shot to win the race.
See, I would have went with Rusty on that one. Unless Ryan felt something rubbing in the steering wheel, then you've got to come in.
All right, let's go back and take a look at what happened that put us under caution. Newman trying to roll up through the field.
Watch this body slam. The 0-2 car, watch this. Just kind of slams the 17 out of the way. He goes up and slams the 18. 18 and 17 both crash. Newman continues on.
Boy, there was a lane there. There was a lane on the bottom, but yeah, getting three of them in there is pretty tough.
Nice job, Kevin LePage. Yellow hooded car there, slowing down to Miss Kenseth.
And all this is going on. Ooh, and the 18 car of McLaughlin, hard in that outside retaining wall.
Those guys definitely got the short end on that one and didn't even know it was coming.
Watch Newman's car pick up off the bottom when he tries to drive it right in there. See it start to slide right? Well, from that angle, it didn't look like it. It did from the one overhead.
And Spencer,
you would have put it down there, wouldn't you?
Well, again,
18 laps to go.
18 laps to go. 18 laps to go with the best race car there. You got to try it. You got to do it. Listen to this. Bobby Hamilton sees all this.
Bobby down, Bobby down, Bobby down, Bobby down, Bobby down. Go, Bobby, go. Get that thing back in some kind of gear. Go.
And Bobby did not listen to a spotter, and it's a good thing. He kept that thing straight.
Oh, that hurts.
Just stay up high, stay up high. The OT just wrecked a whole bunch of us.
That's Curtis Markham.
Curtis Markham, the spotter for Mike McLaughlin,
expressing his displeasure. Is that John Erickson there from Penske Racing? Gentleman in the tan-colored shirt.
Matt Kenseth is saying to Matt Borland and the crew, hey, man.
What was that all about?
But there again, I think that Kenseth or any of these guys,
they would have done the same
trying to win, would have done the same thing.
Yeah.
We've had some wildness in these Busch Series races of late. We've had it again late in the going at Dover today. Back at Dover, Jeff Green is the leader of the MBNA.com 200. There'll be 10 laps to go when they come around and get the green flag. Marty?
Boy, whatever these guys get, Alan, they really deserve it today. The car extremely loose at the beginning of the race for Jeff Green. They made several changes. One time it didn't work. The car was loose even after they made changes to it. But finally, the stop before the last one, they tightened the car up. And then they were a little bit tight on the run before this one. Harold Holley made a great move. He decided to take on 2 tires. And a lot of times when a car is tight and you take on 2 tires, it will tend to loosen up the chassis. They also made a chassis adjustment. The car's running very good. But the 2-tire call got him off pit road second. And he sits past Mike McLaughlin and now is in the lead with a chance to win.
You know, Matt's pretty tore up right now, Matt Kenseth, but he is sitting in 11th spot, still on the lead lap. He could finish there.
Remember, Matt Kenseth not running all the races, but that team does. They're trying to protect Risers, the Riser Group's owner points, by getting as strong a finish as they can. 10 to go.
Jimmy Spencer in the 1 car has proven to be a very fast race car all day. But does he have enough time to get up there and catch Jeff Green?
Helen Sawyer in the 98, the first car lap down, letting those racing for the win, passed him cleanly.
Oh, we see Greg Biffle slide up the racetrack off turn 2 and allowed the 48 of Kenny Wallace to close him right on the back bumper.
Dave?
Alan, he's very loose off the corner. I just talked to his crew chief, Randy Goss, and he said he's tight in the middle, but very loose off, and now he's going to get passed by Kenny Wallace.
Well, he hit the wall off turn 4 that time as he got the car loose off the corner, slid up, and the right rear caught the wall.
Chad Little pressuring Jimmy Spencer just behind them also. This is second and third, Kenny Wallace and Greg Biffle. Ryan Newman is back in 7th place. He just passed Kevin LePage.
Now, I don't think he's got a whole lot of damage to the car as far as chassis-wise, because I've been watching the last couple laps, and he's still flying.
You're all clear. You are all clear.
And Jimmy Spencer right on the back bumper of Greg Biffle.
Inside. He's inside there.
Spencer a little damage on the right front of that car.
You're clear.
That's when he got into the 02 car.
Back inside. There's 2 of them inside. Two inside there. There'll be another one. You're clear low.
Spencer by, 3rd spot. Kenny Wallace, 9 car lengths behind Jeff Green.
Chad Little's going to get a spot there from Biffle.
And Chad Little drove that car in there almost like Ryan Newman did on the 17 of Matt Kenseth just a moment ago.
4 laps to go. While we watch this, Kenny Wallace is trying to do something with Jeff Green. He's cut a car length or so off the interval in the last lap, but there you see quite a gap to go here. And just 3 more miles remaining.
It looks like Ryan Newman is on the apron of the racetrack, and looks like, what's going on with him, Marty?
Yeah, Vinny's got a flat tire. They're pretty sure it's the right front. They're going to bring him in. They're going to change 4 tires here. He got really high on the racetrack about a lap ago, and definitely does have a flat for Ryan Newman.
He may just have garbage on his tires, because from here it looks like the right front's okay, but it takes about 2 or 3 laps to clean your tires off once you get way high up there in that trash.
Jeff Green will see the white flag when he comes back around next time. Last 2
White flag next time, buddy. You got to run every lap. Got to run every lap. Get your marks.
That's Keith Barnwell, the spotter, talking to Jeff Green. Last 2 times here at Dover, he's not finished the race. He had an accident last September, finished 42nd. He had an accident in June. He finished 29th. He's less than a mile from the checkered flag.
Nice and smooth, buddy. Still 5 back to Kenny Wallace. Nice and smooth.
He won at Darlington back in March. He won at Charlotte in May. Now it's win number 3 of 2001 for the defending series champion. Jeff Green wins at Dover.
Awesome job, everybody. Good job, boys. Hey, Hot Rod, you are a machine. You guys are awesome, man. Awesome.
Jeff Green the winner, Kenny Wallace second, Jimmy Spencer third, Chad Little fourth, Greg Biffle fifth. A little cool-down lap side-by-side conversation with Matt Kenseth and Ryan Newman.
And they probably were not talking about the weather. Looks like the 02 car missed the cutoff to go in the garage area.
Maybe they were telling each other they had 1 more lap to go.
You ever see him? Greg Biffle watches all this. There you see the 02 car pull up right beside of Matt Kenseth.
Something must have happened a little earlier than that.
Burnouts on the banking. Marty?
And that's a pretty impressive burnout. Boy, Harold Holly, that was one you worked for.
Yeah, I tell you, Dover's been awful tough to us in the past. We hadn't finished here the last 2 times. We tore up 3 race cars in the last 2 trips. We just tried to start at the end of the race and work our way back. We was way too loose to start the race, but we've been way too tight to start the race the past 2 times. We've ended up blowing tires or something, knocking the fence down. I tell you, I'd just like to dedicate this race to everybody in New York. We love you guys.
The car was tight at the end, Harold. Any question about taking 2 tires for you?
Well, that's what we had to do to win. We saw earlier in practice that it didn't really matter what kind of tires you had on. You know, I was a little bit worried about the air pressure split, but I tell you, Jeff just got up on the steering wheel, and that was the fastest lap times we run all day, and the guys did an awesome job in the Nestle Tow House Ford Taurus today, and I just can't say enough. These guys are awesome. Thank you.
They did the hard work, and Harold Holly's call at the end put the car in victory lane. To Liz Allison.
I'm with Mike McLaughlin, who got stuck in some of that stuff right there at the end of the race. Mike, what happened out there?
I know Matt got into me, but I understand he had some help. Same situation last weekend, same car. It's a shame. A lot of talent. Kid just doesn't know what to do with it yet.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm all right. Just disappointed for MBNA. You know, they're a great sponsor. They do a lot for this race. Would have been nice to come home with a good finish, but you know, there's next week, and we've got a good organization here with Joe Gibbs, and we'll be ready next week.
We're glad you're okay. Alan?
All right, Liz, thanks. For only the 2nd time in 36 Busch Series races here at Dover, a Ford is going to victory lane. Only the 2nd time in 36 tries here, but Jeff Green has done it today. Jeff Green is in victory lane at Dover Downs International Speedway. And now we go to our MBNA Winner's Circle interview. Here's Matt Yoakum.
And for the 13th time in his career, Jeff Green will climb out of a race car victorious in Busch Series competition. 12th time in a different racetrack. Oh, and it's the dive into the mosh pit. The Toll House mosh pit. Jeff Green, doused in beer. Luckily, it's not Nesquik, Jeff. Hey, congratulations. The 2 tires, the big difference?
These guys are the big difference, Matt. We wasn't very good all day, and really wasn't good. We was pretty good there at the end. The 2 tires got in front of the guys, and you know, the track position is everything here. And just like to dedicate this Tow House, man. They did an awesome job for us all year. Nesquik, people in New York and Washington, man, we're thinking about them. It's hard times for them, and it's hard times for us thinking about it, but we're trying to do our job and doing it good.
You're wearing the fire department hat from New York City. How tough to go back to business today? How tough to focus here?
Well, we're thinking about them, you know, but I think everybody, the good Lord and everybody thinking about us, and we're doing our job, and I think that's what they want us to do, you know. Just my hats off to everybody. Harold and the guys, we did a little bit of changing last night, and probably wasn't the right thing, but they worked on it all day, and Harold did a great job on the stops and did the right calls and got out front. It was easy for us, and just thanks for Nesquik not giving up on me, and these guys back here not giving up on me. It's been a tough year, but the good times overshine the bad.
Now, you had 2 tires. Everybody else had 4. How concerned were you on that restart with 10 laps to go that they might get by you?
Well, I was concerned, but when they dropped the green, so Tow House Taurus took off, man. I was just riding, keeping my distance between Kenny and myself, and I'm glad we didn't have any more. Kenny's a little bit faster than I was, those 4 tires, and these old 2 tires are going to wear out after a while, but only had to go 15 or 20 laps on them, and that's the way to go. Goodyear had an awesome tire, best tire I've ever had here. Didn't give up and didn't wear out, so hadn't finished here in a while, and this is the way to finish right here, Matt.
A big weekend. You shaved the mustache, and also it's your anniversary.
It
did work. You told me you thought it might.
Yeah, my anniversary yesterday. Michelle's my big supporter. Come here, Michelle. My big supporter. This my racing career, and I owe it all to her. She's my favorite here.
Congratulations, Jeff Green in victory lane for the first time in his career at Dover. Marty?
Well, Matt, I'm here being harassed by Jimmy Spencer. You want to do this interview? Okay, go ahead.
Man, Kenny, what an exciting race. How about the last 5 laps? Go through that there.
Well, Jimmy, me and you were racing our butts off.
It was fun.
And you were behind me hard. You got up underneath me, and you know the cat that was running 10th to 12th all day long, Jeff Green, he took on rights, got us. But I think we got pretty lucky because Ryan had the fastest car today.
Who picked the better hole? He finished second.
He got second. I got third. I'm real happy with my yellow Chevrolet, and I think
what about my Gould's Pump
the Gould's Pump Chevrolet ran good.
NBC,
Hey, the Ford
TNT?
beat us. Ford beat us. But that was great. How about you fans? Did you see that second turn incident? We saw it really good. It was exciting.
Well, tell us about it.
Hey, Benny, why don't you tell him
Tell us about it.
Well, I'll tell you, did you ever know anybody could race on the apron and make it?
I know one thing, when you got a 22 to 25-year-old kid who's got the fastest car all day long, and all of a sudden he's running way back to run like fourth.
Frustration. I think, Benny, that was frustration. The kid should have won the race without a question, but he should have been a little more patient. He took Matt Kenseth out. He should have been.
Jimmy Spencer talking about patience.
That's why we got third.
This has lost control. Someone please help us. Alan, take it.
That was fun. All right, let's take a look at the finishing order from the MBNA.com 200. Jimmy Spencer as pit road reporter. Oh, scary.
Talking about patience.
Yeah.
I mean, wow.
Green, Wallace, Spencer, the top three. Top 5 run for Chad Little.
And Kevin Harvick finishes in 14th position. That's not bad considering what he's gone through today.
Jason Keller, that late pit stop, dropping him back to 25th in the final rundown. So instead of gaining some ground because of Harvick's struggles today, he loses more in the championship. McLaughlin wound up in 31st place. And the final 3 finishers here today. Back to Dover in just a minute.
And while Jeff Green and his crew continue to celebrate in victory lane here at Dover Downs, a guy that thought he might be there, and you heard other drivers say he had the fastest car, was Ryan Newman. But Ryan got caught up in a little something there, being aggressive at the end of the race. Tell us about it.
Well, congratulations to Jeff Green. You know, they had a pretty decent car all day, but obviously we had the fastest car. And, you know, just I feel bad for the guys on the Altel team. We got caught up there with the bad pit stop. It took longer than it should. We should have been able to take 4 tires and get out front in the lead, but it was longer than that. And that track position really cost us. The 18 car McLaughlin and Kenseth were running side by side there for so long, and I had a hole, went for it, and the hole halfway's closed up, halfway's should have been left a hole there. And I mean, it's just a racing incident there that happened. But you know, before that, Jimmy Spencer got into me, washed me up the racetrack, got pushed farther back, and you know, disappointing day for us. But we knew that we had the fastest race car. We knew we were capable of winning, and hopefully we can come back with the same situation and perform better.
So are you feeling kind of like you gave as much as you took there at the end?
No, not necessarily gave as much as we took. We raced hard. We all raced hard. It's a typical Busch race. At the end there, you get those yellow flag runs of 10, 15 laps to go, and it's just everybody goes for everything, and sometimes you run out of racetrack.
Well, and every weekend is more experience for this kid in the 02 car. He'll be back in Kansas City next week. Marty?
Well, with Chad Little, who comes home fourth today, and this team has really been good lately, Chad. 3 top 10, now 4 top 10s in the last 6 races. Good run for you guys.
Well, I appreciate that. You know, it's a good testimony to all of Base Motorsports, Tony's team as well, and Bill and Brian Baumgartner. They've given me some good equipment. We've been getting it better and better, and I think we're getting some runs now that show for it. And Eddie Pardue, our crew chief's done a good job, and we're starting to click together. So it's nice to have some good runs and run up, be competitive again.
I'm sure this will help build momentum, but you mentioned a few things. But is there one specific thing maybe that's kind of turned it around for you guys?
You know, we got a good motor program that's helped a lot. Practicing pit stops, you know, good communication with Eddie Pardue. You can't just name one thing, you know, it goes on and on and on. And I want to be sure to tell everybody that we're thinking about him. I know this has been a tough 2 weeks for everyone, and it was kind of touching before the race started, so I want to make sure I mention that our prayers are with everyone.
Thanks a lot to run well in this series, and it's good to see you running good again. Alan?
All right, Marty, thanks. 3rd straight race. Kevin Harvick has finished 14th or worse, but he still gains 33 more points on Jason Keller. 6 races to go in the NASCAR Busch Series season for 2001.
Back in Dover, Delaware, as Winston Cup stars are preparing for their final practice session. And that's where we find Matt Kenseth, who just completed the Busch Series race. And for you, the way it ended up, but an exciting finish for a lot of fans. What happened between yourself and the 02 of Ryan Newman?
Well, it's really too bad. I mean, Ryan's got such fast cars. I mean, he had a car that was 3/10 faster than the whole field, and you know, he wrecked himself, he wrecked me, and he wrecked the 18 car again. That's a second week in a row. Mike McLaughlin's got wrecked off Newman running into a car, you know, that's running on inside the 18. So you can only run 2 wide through turn 2 barely, and he just tried going in there 3 wide and spun me out. So I feel bad for my guys. We had a good car, and it was foolish to tear all that stuff up at the end of the race.
Always a very cordial guy yourself. You passed by the 02 pit. What kind of wave did you give him?
I didn't give him anything. Actually, after the race, Newman came out of the pits and almost passed me, and then I was going to run down into the pits afterwards, and he rubbed up alongside my side. So, you know, I don't really know how I can how I could have done anything wrong there, how I could have done anything different. So he just needs to look back. I mean, he just made a big mistake himself. He did the same thing in Chicago. You know, he had the fastest cars. Them guys, you know, they prepare super fast cars and awesome motors over there, and they must be a lot of fun to drive. But just because they're faster than the two guys in front of you, don't mean you can run over the top of them.
Now, what's your agenda for tomorrow's race? You've got your final practice session, 45 minutes. What do you hope to accomplish?
Well, we just need to get this dwell car running a little bit better. We've obviously been struggling a lot this year. Dover's usually been a pretty decent track for us. We just need to try to find some speed. We need to try to find a car that's going to be consistent and stay under us all day. Keep turning good up off them corners and without being too loose. Obviously, we got a lot of traffic in front of us, so we're just going to work on a good, solid race that'll hopefully work for us all day.
He made his first career Winston Cup start here, subbing for Bill Elliott, now hoping to pick up his second career Winston Cup victory tomorrow afternoon, Alan.
And for the third Busch Series race in a row, some controversial incident toward the end of the day has people talking after the checkered flag. You guys have opinions on this one?
Well, I mean, I know Matt's bad, and he should be, and so is Mike, but there was space down there. He didn't go on the apron to make that pass. If you look at the tape here, he was on the racetrack when he made that pass. He had a fast race car. He was running out of time. Those other two guys would have done the same thing. Yeah, they got on the short end of the stick, but Ryan didn't do anything wrong there. Now, BP, you're going to disagree with me.
No, I'm not. Again, there wasn't a lot of room there, but there was room there. And again, if you're going to be a quality race car driver and they open that spot for you, you got to take it. And he did.
10 laps to go. What was it? 20 laps, less than 20 laps to go in the race.
You got to
Time to go.
You got to go for it.
Take another quick look at it here, and no question there's a very tempting hole there.
Well, there was a big hole there when Ryan Newman started it, and then the 17 car, Matt Kenseth, starts bringing his car down the racetrack because he knew he was too wide, and he never dreamed about anyone making it 3 wide. And that's one reason that he was bringing the car back down, because he never dreamed anyone would be down there on the bottom of it. But Ryan Newman saw that spot, and about the time he got half to 3/4 of the way in, all of a sudden here comes the 17 down.
Got to feel bad for Mike McLaughlin. He continues to find himself in the wrong place at the wrong time at the end of these races. Let's go to Marty Snyder.
And Greg Biffle finishes 5th today. Significant in the fact that that's a first top 10 in the last 4 races. I bet you're glad just to finish anywhere in the top 10.
Yeah, it's nice to finish up there with a fairly straight car. I scraped the wall, I think, about 3 laps in a row. Car was really tight today, but the guys did a great job in the pits. Had it up on the stand, and I put it in gear and knocked the wheel off, and you know, still recovered, didn't lose any spots. So it had to have been an awesome pit stop that going when I screwed it up, but just did a great job, you know, and just tried to stay out of trouble. Took 2 tires there at the end and tried to get us track position, but top 5 is a great run for the Granger Ford, and I'd like to say hi to Mom and Dad at home. It's their anniversary today, and hi to Nicole and Foster.
And for you guys, you really struggled with the car today. Never really got it to your liking, did you?
No, we didn't. And, you know, I just tried the best I could, and happy hour to get it driving right. And I did some things that helped it. Just right from the green flag, must have been the Winston Cup rubber or the overnight. Just couldn't get it to turn in the center of the corner at all, and struggled with that all day. Put a rubber in the right rear and just kind of made it turn worse in the middle and looser off. So that was a handful after that. But thought about taking it back out, but just lowered the track bar, and really it was a little bit better, but about the best it was, the 2 tires on at the end.
These guys will take it, though. 5th place after 4 straight disappointing finishes.
Here are the top 10 finishers in today's MBNA.com 200. Jeff Green with his 3rd win of the year. NASCAR Winston Cup practice is next.